Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Blessed to Scrap workshop for the month. This month, I am using this paper pack from Cartabella. It is a really beautiful paper pack, and it is all fall related. So this is for our September pages. We're going to make two 12 by 12 scrapbook pages, and they're both going to be double-sided. I am using my Ali Edwards Story by the Month. I ended up just using November, but I pulled out October and November. And then I'm using some cardstock from Stampin' Up. And then I will also be using some cardstock from Close to My Heart. So recently I started purchasing and building up my cardstock supplies from Close to My Heart because you can get 12 by 12 cardstock from them. Now it's really cool the way that they do their cardstock. You can get a pack of 24, which is amazing, of one color, or you can do a custom pack where you can do a custom pack of 24 or a custom pack of 12, and you can pick the colors you want. So you get those in sets of 2. So if you get the 6-pack, you could do 3 different colors, or you could do 2 different colors. It's really cool the way they do that. I've just been picking up the packs of 24 of the colors that I think that I will use or that I need, like black cardstock, and then this base color that I'm using is the Seabrook, I believe is what it is called, and that is the color. It matched this pumpkin paper perfectly. So you're going to want to refer to your PDF for the exact measurements of all of these pieces, because I am just diving in and creating, and I don't know what is what. So I'm using the pumpkin design. I only had one sheet of that pumpkin design, so I knew I had to stretch it. And then I'm using the black piece that has all the different fall sayings on it. This that I'm cutting up is Cajun Craze from Stampin' Up. That worked out well. The pumpkin paper, the colors, they weren't exactly pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze, but I ended up being able to work with it just fine. And I will be sharing 2 other layouts that I created that are fall themed in our Facebook group that I created for some contract work that I do each month. I always share those photos with you. I just cannot share a video or the PDF, all of the measurements for it. So I left a lot of this in this month. I really wanted to show you the process that I go through in designing these. Now, sometimes I will do all of this kind of work of putting things together and figuring out what I want to do. I do that before I start filming, and then I just film the process of putting it together. But I wanted to leave a lot of this in because I wanted to show you the process that I go through and how I figure out exactly what I want to do. So the first thing that I want to do is add these strips. Now you saw I just changed around the orientation. So the smaller piece is on the left side and then the larger piece is on the right side. And that was so that I could do these pieces on the end here. I really wanted to use that pumpkin spice, everything nice. What is going to end up happening is I'm going to fussy cut the cup out and I won't use that entire card. If that card had been on a 3x4, I would have used the entire card. But it being on a 4x6 card takes up a lot of real estate on this layout. And I also really want to highlight that pumpkin paper. That pumpkin paper is absolutely beautiful and I love it. And so I want it to be a part, like a feature of the layout without covering a ton of it up. So the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in my Ali Edwards. This is Stories by the Month. This is how I keep mine organized, just in these photo containers. And what I'm going to do is dump everything out, and I'm going to look through the cards and the chipboard and see what it is that I might want to use and just lay that out. It doesn't mean that everything that I pick or lay out will be what I use on the layout, but I have found that if it's in front of me, then first of all, it sparks ideas for me if the things that I would like to use are in front of me. And a lot of times you know, maybe I don't go in that exact direction that I was thinking of when I pulled things out, but it will spark ideas. So I really suggest that you pull some things out and have them on your desk and on your workspace so that you can be looking at them and they can help add to the creativity of putting these pages together. So that's what you see me doing. I have some of the 3x4 cards. I'm going to pull out some journaling pieces, mainly some pieces that I feel like are going to match the layout. Again, I have no idea exactly what I'm going to do with them, but I know that they match, so I want to pull those out. I will also be using the chipboard for sure. There's a lot of the little pieces of chipboard. There were also some acetate leaves that I will end up using that end up working really well. I wasn't sure how to use those, and it just so happened that it worked out really well. I really love this 4x6 card that says so very, 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 very thankful. And that ends up being the title for my page instead of the pumpkin spice everything nice card. So there are those chipboard pieces. And this is when I decide to change things and make that my title card.
We're falling out, we've reached disaster. Don't know where we're gonna be after. And we do it all again and again and again and again. Again and again and again and again. We're falling down, we faded. But I know that we can save it. Cause we're like alpha and omega. Whatever happens doesn't matter, I know we can sort it out. Alpha and omega. Even if we go all out and break us down, I know we are alpha and omega. Whatever happens doesn't matter, I know we can sort it out. Alpha and omega. Alpha and omega. Like the waves pull you down underwater. We're fun until we hit the bottom.
Now I have that piece fussy cut. I will set it aside and decide in a little bit where I want to use that. You can see I'm just going to place it a couple different places to see maybe where it, where I think I might use it. And then once I know for sure that that's how I want the background to look, I will go ahead and glue that down. And then you can see here that I've laid some things out. So I glued everything down, the main pieces of the page, and then I know that I'm starting to glue them down now. I'm so sorry. So I'm starting to glue them down now. So a funny story, I'm using my ATG gun to add the adhesive to these pages, and I put it right up against the edge of the page. And the other day I was looking for something. I was either on simonsays.com or scrapbook.com, and I saw the ATG gun, and it is $85 now. And I about fell out of my seat. When I got my ATG gun, it was 15, 20 years ago, and I used a coupon at Michael's, and I got it for 50% off, and I think with tax and everything, I ended up paying a little less than $20. So I was shocked to see that the ATG gun, that pink adhesive gun that I am using, that it was $85. I thought that was crazy. I'm going to pull out my pumpkin pie ink. And like I said, the colors in the pumpkins for this paper, they're not quite pumpkin pie and Cajun craze. And so what I did is I added ink, and you can see I'm being really messy because it's not going to matter. The inking isn't necessarily going to show. I just wanted to darken up the edges of that cardstock, and you'll see when I layer this card over it, it just darkens up that cardstock, and I felt like it looked a little bit better with that pumpkin paper. Now these are acetate leaves. They came in one of Ali Edwards' kits, and I'm just making sure that there's not a film. A lot of times with these acetate pieces, there'll be a little bit of a film over the top of it so that it like protects it from getting scratched. It didn't seem like there was a film over it, so that was fine, not a big deal. And then to adhere those down, I will actually just end up using my ATG gun, and you literally cannot see the adhesive. I think there's just enough of a tint of color on them that you really can't see. So I'm going to add foam. This is going to work as my title card. And you're going to see that the thankful for this, my idea was to put that in the middle of those 4 photo mats. I'm not going to end up doing that. This layout kept changing so much as I was designing, and I was really glad to be able to leave all of this in so you could see how drastically things change as I go. So I will attach that, and then I'll put the leaves on the side. Now you could use this for Thanksgiving, I believe. I don't think there's anything very specific that says Thanksgiving, but you totally could. And one of the things that I always like to mention is the question I get asked the most about these simply layered layouts that I do. The one thing that I get asked the most is if you create layouts without photos, like people will say, I have to start with my photos first and then do the layout. And I understand that because that's how I used to be. I used to start with my photos and then create the layout. So they say, what do you do if your photos don't match your layout? Okay, so here's the thing. Probably if you're going to use this for Thanksgiving, your photos will probably match. They may not match perfectly, but they will probably match enough that it's not going to bother you. Now, if Uncle Al shows up in a hot pink suit and you get your photos back and Uncle Al is there and he has his hot pink suit on and you go to use these photos on this layout and you're like, wow, hot pink does not go with this, you're just going to print your photos in black and white, and that solves the problem immediately. So never be scared to create these layouts without a photo in mind. So I just pointed to that upper corner and I felt like there was a lot of space there and I was not sure what to do. And I'm so excited when I realize what I can do up in that spot. So here's the stamp set for November for that particular year. I don't know which year it was. I'm going to grab my Seabrook ink from Close to My Heart. It's one that is close to the cardstock that I'm using. I just wanted to show you there the way the ink pad opens. I'm going to take this heart and I'm going to stamp directly on the background. And I was so excited to do this. It worked out perfectly. It gives you this tone on tone effect. It fills up that space really nicely. And it's a beautiful heart stamp. It's like a wood grain. And then it's in the shape of this kind of wonky heart, which I really love. I don't know about you, but I really dislike it when heart shapes are just like the boring heart shape. It is always not annoying, but I just don't like it as much as when you have a wonky heart. I'm going to do this on the bottom as well. And what I'm going to do is lift this up. And you can see it, I was lucky that it lifted up so easily. And then I'm going to stamp another stamp so that it falls behind the journaling spot. And I just love the way this turned out. I think it was the perfect solution. I will press this back down. I did that flat so that if I want to handwrite on that giving thanks, I can. But I can also type up some journaling and put it on sticker paper and then add it to that spot just as easily. I'm going to pop up the little latte with the leaf on it and layer that over the hearts, which is fine. I know a lot of that heart ends up like being covered up, but that's okay. The idea was just that there would be something there to fill the space up on the actual paper. I thought November might fit on that tag and I was going to stamp directly on that tag, but it doesn't. I probably have a November that's small enough that I could stamp on that tag, but the tag ended up just not ever working out. You see that I keep trying to use it. I try to use it on this layout, and then I also try to use it on our second layout, and it just does not work. So it just didn't work, and that's okay. But you see me try to use it quite a bit. So here I am, I'm stamping these hearts again. And for this month, you're going to see that this video is going to be live on my public YouTube channel, and it is going to be shared as well in our Simply Documented group. I wanted to share with my YouTube community one of the workshops that I do for Simply Documented, these Simply Layered pages. So if you're watching publicly on YouTube, this is a workshop that I do every single month in the membership group. You can join the membership group for $14.99. It is a fantastic way to support me as a creator and support this channel. And I'm always so appreciative of all of those who have joined. This comes with a PDF, which you can only access if you are a part of the Simply Document group. So everybody who's in our group will get that PDF with all of the specific measurements, and then they get a video every month, and then the photos are also in that group. So I would love it if you would join. I hope that you enjoy this sneak peek into some of the things that we do in that membership group. I love putting these together each month, and it is always a really fun. I do like the holidays, like right now I'm doing layouts for fall and Thanksgiving, and then we're going to be diving into Christmas layouts soon. So anyways, if you're watching on YouTube, hello and welcome to this workshop. I hope you enjoy it. Leave me a comment down below in the YouTube description and let me know what you thought of these two layouts. So you can see I just added a cluster of the leaves and the stamping and the chipboard pieces down in that corner. And then we're going to magically cut to the photo mats being already put together, and you can add your photos there. I also used more of that Close to My Heart cardstock, and the other cool thing about Close to My Heart cardstock is one side is lighter than the other. So when you get the cardstock, you actually get two colors because you have the one side that is darker and the one side that is lighter. So you can see those squares. It's a very subtle difference, but you can see two of the squares are darker and two of the squares are lighter, and that is why. So then I stamped up in that right hand corner, I stamped some more of the hearts, and then I put that thankful for this right above that 3x4 card, and then I added this gratitude goodness. Now in this spot, or in the spot that says giving thanks, I can put a photo there as well. So you see that the leaf is not glued down at all to that spot and would lift very easily up. And you could cut a photo to fit both of those spots. Or even with this Simply, I think that says Simply Celebrating, you could also add a photo there. I really love that gratitude goodness. It has, I think, 5 spots where you could just make a list of journaling. But if you're not big on journaling, I'm not big on journaling. I don't do a ton of it. There's 3 separate spots on this page now that I could journal, and I promise you, I don't need that much space to journal. So, because of that, I can definitely add photos to these spots. I added the Simply Celebrating right there, and then the Giving Thanks on the other side because they're both white journaling cards, and it added white on both sides of my layout, and it balanced it out. I wanted to add a little bit of white because the thankful for this, those words are in white. So that is why I did that, but I am never going to hesitate to add a photo somewhere if I have more photos that I want to add to a layout. I can also take a Project Life pocketed page or one of your pocketed scrapbooking plastics that you use, and you can add that into the middle of the page to get more photos. And that is always an option as well. So let me show you how this turned out. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, make sure that you get to see the layout all together. I end up not using that tag. It just does not work out for me to use that tag. If I want, also, I can go in and add some other embellishments like some enamel dots or some Nuvo glitter drops if I want to add a few other things. But I really love the way this turned out with the little coffee latte cup and then the leaves. I think it all worked out really perfectly. So let's dive in to our next layout, which is by the same, I'm going to use the same paper, that Cartabella paper. I'm starting out with Occasion Craze cardstock background, and then that plaid orange piece. And then there is that black piece that has all the different fall sayings on the bottom. Now again, I'm going to start by setting out some of the things that I want to use. Now these cards from Ali Edwards Story by the Month, they are going to greatly dictate what other designs I use for this layout. Now, I had no idea what I was going to do for this layout other than the base, what you see. The 2 pieces of designer paper, I knew I wanted to do that. Now, for whatever reason this month, as I've designed the 4 layouts that I have designed, I've designed 2 other ones for contract work that I do. I did a lot of the design where there was a lot of, at the bottom, like the designer paper, the pattern paper was at the bottom of the page. And I don't know, it's just what I was drawn to this month. So that was definitely a theme for me this month. But at this point, I'm not positive exactly what I want to do. I have some of the brown cards and then some of the black cards pulled out. And then I just want to see what other designs that I have. And I really want to use this striped piece, and then on the other side of the stripes, you will see little small squares that have different designs in them. I thought the Thanksgiving card may match the stripes, but it really doesn't. It really just is very different. So that's going to eliminate using that Thanksgiving card, and I will fussy cut this heart out, and then we will go from there. So the heart that I cut out is pretty massive, so that's going to dictate what else I add to this page. So the first thing that I thought I would do is use this striped paper to make my photo mats. I'm going to show you a little piece of that, but I'm going to quickly change direction, and I'm not going to use the striped paper because it just doesn't work. I just really have a hard time making that striped paper work the way I want it to. So I do think it looks cute behind the heart, and so I will do that. But here is where I had wanted to create some photo mats using the stripes. Now the stripes look great. The problem is when I add the cardstock, because there'll be 2 photo mats. So both of these photo mats are at 4.5 by 6.5. Then I will add another color. So here is another color. This is a Stampin', a Close to My Heart color. Now, when I add this over the stripes, because it's a striped paper, you're going to see it's just very weird. Like, it ends up being a very weird border. And you can see there's the dark and then there's the light, but see how weird this is? So I realize it's just not going to work. So I'm going to scrap using the stripes as a photo mat. And what I'm going to end up doing is just using a dark early espresso piece of cardstock. So that's a dark brown. And that is how I'm going to end up layering these. So we're going to dive right in here where I have added the early espresso brown to the back of those photo mats. I've layered that heart on the bottom, and then I did use some of that striped paper to bring in another color. I have a piece of chipboard on all the way on the left side that has a little bit of yellow in it, and then I have the turkey chipboard on the bottom of that heart. And I really love the way that came out. You could also, instead of doing 2 4x6 photos there, you could do 1 5x7 photo there. And that would also look really good. And oftentimes with the holidays, I like to do a larger photo, like a 5x7. I always feel like goes really nicely on holiday photos. So I trimmed down that one card. It talks about being thankful. I trimmed it down. It's a really odd size. It's not quite like 4x6 or 4x4. It just, I trimmed it down so that that saying was in the middle of the card, and then I also wanted it to be smaller so I could fit more photos onto this page. I'm going to add some of that colored cardstock to the back. It just worked out so perfect. That color was a really perfect color for this. I still am going to try to use that striped piece. Like, I'm going to try really hard. I just end up it just doesn't end up working very well on the rest of this layout, which was unfortunate because I kept really wanting to use it. I do think that it looks better if you look at both of those striped pieces on the screen right now. One has the stripes going vertically and then one has them going horizontal. And I do think that when you're using stripes, sometimes like the way the stripes are underneath the heart, they're vertical, and that works better on this page. When they're horizontal like they were on the right side of the page when you were looking at the screen, it didn't go well. Like, it just did not, the way your eye caught those stripes, and then also with the diagonal stripes of the plaid piece, it just was too much. So you want to be careful when you're mixing these kinds of designs, because they can really be weird when you're looking at them. Okay, so the other thing that's going to happen is the right side of the page. You're going to see that I end up changing things around quite a bit. The first thing that I will end up doing is I will cut that gratitude list card down where I will do the journaling. I will cut that down to 3x4, and that's going to work a lot better. I do not need that much space to journal. I'm not big on journaling. I like having a little bit of it in there, but I don't need a ton of it. So a 3x4 card is going to work much better for this layout, and then it's going to balance things. The other thing that I'm going to end up doing is swapping all of this. I'm going to put the larger 5x7 photo on the other side. So once I do that, it's going to work much better. So when you see that in just a minute, you will see the flow of the page ends up working so much better. Next, I'm going to fussy cut some of these out.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. down. I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind. I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Okay, now that I have fussy cut those squares out, on this one side with the heart, I added yellow cardstock behind it. Now the Giving Thanks chipboard on that left side has a bit of yellow in it, and so I wanted to bring in yellow in a couple other places. So I did that with cardstock underneath the 2 white squares on that left side, and then the 5x7 photo mat has yellow on that side as well. So now I have a bit of yellow in all of the different places. Okay, so here I'm still trying to use that striped piece, and it's like it took me a little while to give up on the idea. I did already trim that card down, so now it's 3x4, and here is where I'm gonna swap everything around, and it's just going to all come together. This was definitely what was needed, was to just swap some of this around, and it made everything flow better. I want the 5x7 photo mat. I want it to hang off of the pattern, that plaid pattern piece a little bit, because I want the depth of that. But putting it on the other side, because I'm about ready to swap that on the other side, so just hang on, is going to open up the layout and make it flow better. Also, down there in that corner, there's a little bit of space left, and I was feeling like it was too open. Even though your pattern paper can work as a design, I just was feeling like things were a little bit, like it wasn't working well. So here you can see I'm thinking about it and trying to figure out, like, how can I make this flow better? And I thought that it was maybe that there wasn't enough embellishments on the page. But what I realized is it just was really the flow of the page was a little bit off. So I'm adding foam. This is foam that I get on Amazon. I went through just about an entire roll of foam. At one time it was pretty inexpensive. It was like $11 for 2 rolls. The last time I ordered it, I think it was $18 for 2 rolls. And that was a little bit more expensive than it had been, but it still is a fairly decent price for as much as I go through foam. I'm going to leave that gratitude list card flat in case I want to handwrite my journaling. And then I'm also going to put this turkey time right on the bottom corner. And that will take up a little bit of space, and then it gives me a little bit of permission to not have to fill that entire card up for journaling. Again, journaling is something that I struggle with. And so while I want journaling on my page, I also don't want to be overwhelmed by it. I used to feel like I had to journal so much, and it would really cause me anxiety, scrapbook anxiety. Does anybody have that, memory keeping anxiety, where I wouldn't know what to do, and then I wouldn't want to create, or I wouldn't want to finish the page because I didn't know what to do with the journaling? So now I just don't make myself journal if I don't want to. I don't make myself put more journaling than I feel like is necessary. And you don't have to put any journaling at all. Like, I mean, just give yourself permission. If you don't want to journal, don't put any journaling at all on it. Or there's lots of little sayings around here, giving thanks for this, turkey time, all of that can serve as journaling. I also really love word phrase stickers, which I will add once I add photos to these layouts. I will use my word phrase stickers, and a lot of times I just let that be my journaling. I let that be what I want to say. So I decide I have this little piece of cardstock left. I think this is going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is stamp this heart again. Now the thing about Close to My Heart stamp pads is they are felt pads. If you're used to Stampin' Up pads, they are foam, and so you really have to make out with your ink pad when you're using a Close to My Heart ink pad. Like with Stampin' Up ink pads, you just want to tap it. You just want to give it a little tiny kiss and it picks up plenty of ink. With the Close to My Heart ink pads, you gotta get in there and make out with that ink pad and like really smush it into the ink pad to get it to pick up enough ink. So it is a little bit different, and it's just different going between different companies of stamp pads. There's nothing, wrong with that. It's just a difference. I love adding those two hearts over there. It fills that space up, and then it also mimics the heart that I cut out, the large brown one, because it's the same heart. It was just the stamp was smaller, but it's that same wood grain like image. So I'm going to add those to the bottom, and then I'm going to do a cluster just like I did with the leaves. I'm going to put this Story Time and Love Us, and then I'm going to add 3 chipboard pieces to the top. I looked for another oval one, and it just came together perfectly. So you can see even embellishing this page was much easier when I swapped out where everything was. So I hope that you have enjoyed seeing these 2 layouts. Again, this is the layouts that I do in my Simply Documented membership group. I would love for you to join. There's a link in the description. As always, I appreciate you being here and watching this video. If you are in my membership group, you will see the PDF and photos of this layout in that group, of course, for this week's exclusive projects. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. On the screen are 2 other projects that you can check out. I will be back on Thursday to share with you Project Life Thursday. I will be kicking that up again, and I will catch you in my very next video. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.